Hello and welcome to Learning Access 2013. My name is Mike Henry and this is the 8th video from Chapter 3. In this video we're going to talk about our aggregate functions. These are the sum of, the average of, the count of. You also find people using the min or max, or they say something like, I'd like to know the largest invoice or the smallest invoice in a particular grouping. So these are our aggregate function queries. So for this query, I'm going to be asking you, I'd like to know the sum of all the invoices. I want to know how many invoices we have. I want to know the average of all the invoices. And then I want to know the largest and the smallest of all of our invoices. So basically I need 5 pieces of information from you, and they're all related directly to the invoice amounts. Now to do this query, you can see I've closed our other queries. We need to start a new query. So I'm going to come back to Query Design, and in this case all of the information that we're looking for is coming off of the billing table. So I'm going to bring up that table, and I am looking at the invoice amounts, and I asked for 5 pieces of information: the sum, the average, the count, and then the biggest and the smallest of all these. So I need the invoice amount to be put up there 5 times. So you can see I've got invoice amount up here 5 times, and because I'm going to be using this as an aggregate query, I need to come up and turn on this button right here called Totals. Notice when I put my pointer on there and I click on it, I get a totals row right here. The number 3 row has now become the totals row. If I click it off, you'll see it goes away. So this is an on-off button, and I just turned on the totals row. And you'll notice that it always says grouped by. What I'm going to do is change the group by. For the total, we'll use sum. For the average right here, you can see that I'm going to use AVG. And the next one we'll do will be the smallest invoice, or the minimum. And then we'll do the maximum, or the largest invoice. And then this last one we'll use for count. This will count and tell us how many invoices we have in total. So when we run this, we're going to get one line: a sum, an average, a min, a max, and a count. And so we run that, and I'm just going to best fit this out so we can actually see everything. You can see that we have a total of $20,703 worth of invoices. Right now the average invoice is about $101.49. The smallest invoice that we have is $30, and the largest one is a $450 invoice. And we know there's 204 invoices currently. Okay, so this is an aggregate query. It gives us some of our statistics. Now a lot of times people will say, I would like that same information, but could you do me a favor and break it up by city? Okay, so we're going to go do that. We're going to tell which cities have the total amount of invoices, the largest and smallest from those city areas. So we're going to go do that right now. And to do that, I obviously need to add the city field. And you can see I come back here, I go to Show Tables, and I go, well, the patient table, I'll put that right up there, and I hit this, and you go, alright, so the patient table has city on it, and I throw in city. And I even said I'd like to have it grouped by that, so that's where this group by comes from. But I want you to watch, really important, what happens with our numbers. Remember before there was a total of 204 possible invoices. Now when we view this, see how it's showing Hartford has 4,488 invoices? That doesn't make at all sense. We had a total of invoices of 20,000, and look at this, there's almost 500,000 invoices in Hartford. So right now we're getting a lot of incorrect information, and so this is what happened. Notice how there's no relationship between these two tables. What we did is we put up 2 unrelated tables. The computer didn't know what to do, and it said, I am going to give you every possible numeric combination and let you figure it out. So here we click Show Tables again, and we put up the table that's the connector table, Visit, and so now you can see the Visit table sits in between the billing and the patient table, giving us our relationships all intact. Now when we put this together, if you were to add up all these invoices, there'd be 204. If you would add up all the invoice amounts, it would come out to about $20,000. More importantly, I know that in Hartford, they have $9,000 worth of invoices. That's our largest city right now. The average invoice amount's 103. They have a small one of 32, and they also have the biggest one at 450. They have a total of 87 invoices, where Waterbury only has 6 invoices. So you can see this gives us our stats, and we can break them out and group by them. This is our aggregate query. Gives us all of our aggregate functions. So we learned how to create an aggregate function. What we decided is that if there's going to be 5 pieces of information I want, I'm going to have to put that number up there 5 times. One for each of the functions I'm going to do, whether it's a sum, an average, a min, max, or count. After I create that, I need to turn on my totals row, so we learned how to turn that row on and off, and then obviously I run my query. Then the last thing we did is we figured out grouping. I can go back and group that particular query, and when I did my grouping, I had to make sure that my tables that were grouping were related. Just like any query I run, if my tables aren't related, I might end up with some really crazy data.